If you ever shop at Superstore, No Frills, or Loblaws, you definitely had a cashier ask you if you wanted to sign up for the PC Financial MasterCard to save on your groceries. And every single time I just tell them, no, I'm okay, thank you. And they ask me more questions, whether I shop at Superstore, whether I want to save. And of course I say yes. So they say I should sign up for this card. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I have a great primary card that I don't want to sign up for it. And then they ask me again. It's just a perpetual loop. I feel a little bit like Sisyphus, kind of going through this motions over and over again. I feel like you've been in this situation as well, haven't you? So while for some people it sounds like an obvious yes because you already shop there, you might as well get nice rewards and perks for it. But I wanted to look into it a little. And I would tell you that if you want to sign up for it, if you're ready to say yes and they finally broke you down, grinded down your patience, the least you need to know is which version of it you should sign up for. Because to be honest with you, the basic PC MasterCard is not a great deal for your groceries. So today I'm going to look into how the PC card system actually works, which card you might actually want to use, and why this system has sort of a pretty big catch that a lot of people only run into when they decide to actually cash in their points. So without further ado, let's take a look. And of course, I feel like I've been there too. The biggest misconception a lot of people actually have about PC Financial MasterCard is that because it has the President Choice logo on it, all of a sudden it's supposed to actually be the best card to use in the grocery store, whether it's to accumulate extra points or give you better deals on the current groceries. Stuff like this. And this is really very much not true, especially if you use their entry-level card. Because, look, there are a few versions similar to Rogers' MasterCard, which has Rogers World Elite, and a new one that they released at $500 annual fee, which I haven't looked at. But anyways, a lot of cards have different tiers, right? And PC MasterCard is not different. So there's the basic one, which they try to sign up anybody who has a pulse, but generally students and people with lower income, because that card does not have income requirements, which only gives you 10 points for every dollar you spend at Loblaws, Superstore, No Frills, grocery stores. And because the way their system is set up, $10,000 equals $10 that you can redeem against your groceries, for example. $10 is literally a 1% return, which is as low as it gets, in my opinion. So, because, look, you can get 1% with literally any single credit card of any major greedy bank that does not care about its customers whatsoever, they still give you 1%. So to put it straight, at this point, you might as well get a cashback 1% card, because then at least you get cash and not points that you must use at this Loblaws owned stores. So yeah, this standard basic PC MasterCard gives you absolutely zero advantage. Just don't sign up for it, unless that's the only card you can get. But otherwise, don't sign up for it. If you want this card to actually be useful in your wallet, you gotta go for the higher tier card. So there's a middle tier World MasterCard, which requires $60,000 personal income. This one doubles your grocery reward to 20 points per dollar spent. So that's 2% cashback in points. So I shouldn't call it cashback, I suppose. So this card would not be as bad. 2% is pretty decent. It kind of puts it on the same level as Tangerine World Elite MasterCard, which I think actually has a slightly higher requirement, $80,000 if I'm not wrong. But of course, it only applies to the Loblaws Superstore kind of label, as opposed to Tangerine applying to most things. But the bigger reason PC Financial MasterCard actually has a fairly large user base is their next tier card, which is their World Elite. To get this one, you need a personal income of $80,000 a year or a household income of $150,000. If you hit that, that card is actually pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. While it still has $0 annual fee, which is really amazing, it gives you 30 points per dollar in Loblaws grocery stores. So that's 3% back in points. And on top of that, in Shoppers, which they also own, what don't they own is the real question, you actually get 4.5% back in points. With Shoppers prices, I mean, it barely offsets the markup, but sometimes you just gotta shop at Shoppers. But anyways, getting 3% back on groceries for a card that costs you $0 a year is actually pretty good. I would honestly say that it's one of the best earn rates in Canada if that's your primary store where you shop. Of course, if you split that between Superstore and Costco and Walmart, perhaps there are other cards. But if you shop at Superstore almost exclusively, I mean, seriously, it's a no-brainer. And of course, I wouldn't be honest with you if I didn't tell you about this little but, because there is always a but. In reality, there are a couple of downsides, two most notable ones that you need to know about, I believe, before applying. First, as I've mentioned before, these rewards are very inflexible because it's not actual cashback. You get cashback in points. which you must therefore spend in Superstore, or at Shoppers, or at Loblaws, and only in big, $10 increments. That's why I'm not calling it cashback, because it's more like store credit. You must spend them at this same grocery store. So of course, in my opinion, that's not ideal. And second of all, at least that's what I heard. That's what I heard, and that's what I've seen online when I check them on Trustpilot and other websites. The customer service is pretty horrendous. And, say what you want about big banks, and I say a lot of things about big banks, but at least you can get someone on the phone pretty consistently and fairly easily. But if you look at the reviews for PC Financial, it seems like it's a Herculean effort to actually get someone on the phone when, let's say, a transaction goes wrong or something gets flagged or you get locked out of your account. So if you ever need to, I've never actually had to dispute a charge, fingers crossed in my life. But if you ever have to do that, a lot of the time you do have to give them a call, for instance, and it's not uncommon that you have to wait on the phone for hours and hours and hours. But, if you're a Rogers or TELUS customer, you're probably used to that anyways. So maybe it's not even a downside, is it? I'm just voicing out my grievances. I had to call Rogers not too long ago, and it was a whole thing. I'm still very traumatized, and that was like 3 months ago. But anyways, let's get back to this. So the question is, should you get this card? Well, let's see. Make under $60,000 a year. You would, and you're only qualifying for the very basic card. I would say it absolutely does not make sense for you. I would say you should go for Tangerine or Simplii. They actually offer pretty decent credit card options. I've actually made videos about both Simplii, Visa, and Tangerine MasterCard. So if you want to check those out, feel free. They're on my channel. But they are really good, and I would say they're miles ahead of the big bank 1% cashback cards. But even those cards are better than this guy that gives you this super inflexible points as opposed to cash at 1% back. It's kind of ridiculous. But again, they are preying on your financial illiteracy. So this is why you're watching this channel. So good job. Okay, let's continue. So if you make more than $80,000 a year and you do most of your shopping at the Superstore, Loblaws, No Frills ecosystem, as well as, once in a while, you might go ahead and buy your gas at Esso, which now works with Superstore as well. I would say the World Elite version is a pretty solid option. It's honestly, it's very close to a no-brainer. Probably as close as it gets, because once again, it costs nothing, and earning 3% back on grocery purchases is actually pretty awesome. But what about you guys? Let me know in the comments if you've ever used PC Optimum MasterCard in your life, actually, or if you know people that do, because surprisingly, there are quite a few people I see using this card. If you're really opposed to this, grocery oligopoly and you just don't want to do anything with PC Financial or Loblaws Incorporated in general, a lot of people do that. Or if you use a card that simply makes more sense. I wish they accepted Amex Cobalt, which I don't think Loblaws, Superstore, or No Frills do. I made a video on that. The 5x multiplier on groceries is pretty amazing, but unfortunately you can only use it at Safeway and Save on Foods right now for the most part. But as I said, let me know if you're using some different card that actually makes a lot more sense for you personally and why. I'm kind of living in a bubble here and talking to a camera, so it would be nice to hear what other people are actually doing. Yeah, so I appreciate that. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and subscribe to the channel if you find it useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.